I have figured out Dragon's bounty down to the last berry. If you want to know, keep listening. Also, his Devilfruit is the Wind Logia, not a Mythical Zoan. Dragon was introduced more than 20 years ago. It looks like his time has finally come. Oda could soon reveal his backstory, his plan to end the world government, and much more. This video is concerned with perhaps the two most debated mysteries in regards to him, his Devilfruit and his bounty. We might soon learn if he really is the most wanted man. I believe he is. In the anime, Dragon is called the most wanted man, not so in the manga. There, his title is worst criminal instead. Many people on social media make a big deal out of that difference. Some go so far to call it a mistranslation. They are so fixated on the exact wording that they can't see the forest for the trees. Of course he is the most wanted man. Look at the context. The chapter in which Dragon is called worst criminal is also the chapter where the 4 emperors were introduced. 3 of those are defeated now. Meanwhile, Oda saved Dragon for the endgame. Shonen logic suggests that he is more powerful, a bigger threat to the world government, which should correspond to a higher bounty. Putting Dragon and the emperors in the same chapter evokes a comparison, one that works in Dragon's favor. In that chapter, the emperors are called the greatest pirates. Whitebeard had the highest active bounty among pirates at that time, followed by those of Kaido, Big Mom and Shanks. Yet they were never called most wanted pirates, even though they were exactly that. If greatest pirates meant most wanted pirates, then the worst criminal is probably also the most wanted criminal. Pirates are a subset of criminals. In fact, all wanted men are criminals. Most wanted criminal thus equals most wanted man. It follows that Dragon is more sought after than the emperors. The reaction of the crowd implies the same. When Garp angrily brought up Luffy's friendship with Shanks, he revealed that Red Hair was one of the biggest names in the New World, one of the 4 most notorious pirates. No one batted an eye. Then he revealed that Dragon, the revolutionary, is Luffy's father, and everyone flipped out. Being connected to Dragon was a bigger deal than being connected to an emperor. Most wanted is a title, not a number. I promised to give the exact amount that is on Dragon's head. First I will establish the range. Dragon's bounty lies between that of Whitebeard and the last one of Luffy. The person with the highest known bounty back then was Edward Newgate. He had 5,046,000,000 on his head. That bounty is the lower bound for dragons. If Dragon was the most wanted man when Whitebeard was still alive, he needed to have a higher number on his poster. The upper bound is Luffy's end of series bounty. The main character has to overcome his father in notoriety. Dragon needs to have a lower bounty than Luffy to not steal the show. We don't know Luffy's final bounty yet, but a good guess is 5.6 billion. That would be a little higher than Roger's, and it would include 5-6, which means Gomu in Japanese, as in Gomu Gomu no Mi, the initial name of his Devilfruit. So Dragon's bounty should be between 5,046,000,000 and 5.6 billion. My guess is it will be exactly 5,555,555,555. 10 fives in a row. Oda likes number shenanigans, and he's constantly linking Dragon to the number 5, which means Go in Japanese. Dragon was born in Goa Kingdom on October the 5th. He is now 55 years old. He built his headquarters in Baltigo. His revolutionary army has 5 regional commanders, 1 for each of the 4 blues and 1 for the Grand Line. Dragon's height is 8'5", and even his name, Dragon, contains Go. I wouldn't be surprised if, in an SBS or a Vivre card, it was revealed that Dragon's favorite game is Go. Now to the Devilfruit. He has a power related to wind, that much is clear. The most popular explanation had been that he ate the Wind Logia, but not anymore. Very trendy now is to make up Mythical Zoans with wind powers. Dragon having the Thunderbird fruit is the highest upvoted theory on Reddit, for example. As it is so often the case, the first hunch was correct. We have never seen Dragon fight, but we have seen his student. Sabo has an unusual fighting style. He tries to emulate a dragon claw. When he ate the flame fruit, he instantly developed a new technique, combining his new Logia powers with his martial arts. Those two likely fit so well with each other because the originator of the Dragon Claw Fist also ate a Logia and developed it to take full advantage of his fruit. That originator is Dragon. He likely created the technique to work well with his wind fruit. Only when Sabo ate a Logia could he recreate all the techniques he saw Dragon use before. There might be a stormy Dragon Claw Fist, after which Sabo modeled the burning Dragon Claw Fist. The devil fruits that master and student Dragon and Sabo ate could be the first two that Oda planned to put into the story, if Norse mythology was the inspiration. The One Piece wiki states that the name of the Logia devil fruit category was taken from Greek. Logia in Greek means saying or utterance, so nature is uttering or speaking through the Logia fruits. I don't find that explanation convincing. There has to be something better than utterance. I believe to have found it. Oda has taken ideas from Norse mythology in the past. For example, Shanks is based on the Norse god Tyr. There happens to be a character in that mythology called Logi, just missing an A at the end. Logi is the personification of fire. He could be the inspiration for Ace's and Sabo's power. In Norse poetry, Logi also meant sword or blade. Roger didn't just name his son Ace. He had already given that name to his sword before. Logi even participates in an eating contest against Loki, where he eats whole animals, including their bones. Ace was also a big eater. Oda likely got the idea of making people able to turn into elements from the personification of fire. He generalized that concept to other elements. He called powers such as Logis, Logias. Logi has two brothers. One is the personification of the sea, the other the personification of the wind. For obvious reasons, there probably won't be a water Logia, but if Oda took the idea of the fire Logia from Logi, he likely also took the idea of a wind Logia from Logi's brother. The flame fruit was one of the earliest Logias to be introduced. We saw its power in Alabasta. The very first was Smokers, shown in Loguetown, where Dragon also displayed his wind powers. The wind fruit works great as the superior version of Crocodile's sand fruit, even if it is not as obvious as say snow and ice. Baltigo was unnaturally dry. In Punk Hazard we saw that awakened Logias can leave behind permanent changes to an island. If Dragon has awakened the wind Logia, he could have made it very windy, which would have dried out the island. Just like ice and snow relate to cold, sand and wind are centered around dryness. Dragon's attacks could also look similar to those of Crocodile. Take Crocodile's favorite two, Sand Sword and Sand Storm. Out of wind, Dragon could make a sword just as fine. The storms that the user of the wind fruit could summon would dwarf Crocodile's sandstorms. He would be able to create tornadoes or hurricanes.